Alright, so, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume. Now, when we last left off, we were staring at Novice, and we were trying to get this whole plastic situation built up, which we need a couple more tier 3 quality modules to get this entire row going. We are up to 200 some ultra quality plastic, which is progress. And the rest of our quality stuff is it's this group up here. And these seem to be running just fine. So that's all good. And we even have a box full of quality electric poles. So that's all going well. And it's just a matter of the plastic getting built up. So we have this extra thing in here to make sure that we use a full belt of plastic. But it has to get down to this area-ish. And if we have it do that, then it will just swarm this entire thing and use up all of these recyclers. So we can't do that at this exact moment, but we are getting very close. Only 12 quality modules short. And our only source of new quality modules is still this bit up here, which certainly has a couple of them. So that is going strong. And yeah, it's still producing. It's just slow because the number of quality module inputs isn't very high. This is basically doing what it can. So that's all good. Alright, so that's all good. Then we just have to let the plastic get finished. And then we're going to have to move on to the hard part, because unfortunately all of this stuff is still the easy part of this process. So the hard part is the holmium plates, because we need to get those off of Fulgora, which is not super well designed and built up at the moment. So we're probably going to have to do a relatively significant amount of work on Fulgora in order to get any of that done. Alright, this should be enough modules for me to at least connect it up. They won't be perfect, but they'll do something, and it should still end up speeding up the production. So let's get that one assigned in. And apparently this belt over here, I'm going to need to dismantle and rebuild it so that the Spidertron does the work. And now we have even more plastic usage. And now the plastic is limited by the actual plastic production, which is good because the plastic production is relatively easy to increase compared to this whole giant mess. So if we want to increase the plastic production, we just sort of build this out a bit. Not sure whether I'll do that or not, but yeah, let's do that. It'll be fine. So what? We have our coal, we have our petroleum gas. Let's just copy paste this entire thing, pop it over here like that. And then we just have to make a couple of fixes. So the coal belt goes across. Petroleum gas belt goes across. And the plastic belt can go in. For now, the plastic belt can go in over here. In the future, it's likely that we'll have that be implanting into like further down the line again, so we can get more than one full belt of plastic going through. For now, this will hopefully be enough. And actually, though, it looks like our recycler numbers still aren't enough. So let's actually disconnect that again, because if this backlogs, then obviously we have a problem, and it looks like it is backlogging. Alright, so we need to chop that again to get things back under control. It's unfortunate that we need even more of these guys, but it is what it is. We need a whole bunch of plastic. We're only up to 260, so it's not going especially quickly. It is not going fast. Alright, so now this just does its thing. And we apparently need even more recyclers with modules, which is going to take forever. Okay, so this is just going in, and it'll happen eventually. But let's go over to Fulgora, because we have quality plastic now, right? So if we go over here and we get in the quality holmium plates, then we can like actually do stuff. Then we can actually use this whole setup to make a couple of quality modules, and that will help a lot. So this is our holmium plate production, and it's what, 0.7 per second, which is kind of abysmal. So what we need is to increase that, which we might need more holmium ore production as well, but hopefully not. So this stuff goes into here with stone and water. Right, okay, so Fulgora is complicated. Fulgora is very complicated indeed. So we need to get large quantities of holmium ore, stone, and ice cubes, and just put them into a bunch of chemical plants. So how are we going to do that? Do we kind of just need to... I feel like redesigning all of Fulgora might be necessary very soon, which would be a shame, but if that's what we're going to have to do, then that's what we're going to have to do. Because we do need a lot of holmium ore, and we aren't really going to be getting it any other way. So, I guess we can just try to build off of what we have somehow. Let me think. Let me think for a second about how we do this. I have no idea is basically the answer. What we need is some way of dealing with all the excess in large quantities, even if we scale this up a lot. which doesn't seem trivial. Does not seem trivial at all. Because what's going to happen is if we have a bunch more recyclers to get more holmium out, then we're also going to get more, stone bricks or whatever out. We're going to have to recycle all of those away in order to keep up. I don't know how manageable that's going to be. Because we're going to need a mass quantity of this stuff. Like way more than we currently have if we want to get anywhere. So let's see, this is 0.5 ore to 25 fluids. This is 10 to 1. It's probably like 10 to 0.5 or something by default, but productivity moduled. So we can go a pretty long ways with productivity modules. But still, like, we're gonna need to burn through thousands of holmium plates in order to get reasonable quantities. Although, actually, how many do we need? We need 1 holmium plate per superconductor, and we need 1 superconductor per quality module 3. Okay, so that's actually better. So we do actually only need a relatively slow trickle of holmium plates then, compared to the other components, which we need lots of. So, okay, let's just set that up then. We have our holmium plates here. They're going and making superconductors here. Right, but we need all of this stuff to be quality, so we need to make the holmium plates quality as the step. So, let's see here. If we just like take some stuff off, some belts off of these and drag them elsewhere. Like if you get a belt which just goes like straight back this way. That's not gonna work because of that power line. Oh, and I forgot I'm the one physically here. So we need to take that power line out and just like shift it slightly. Okay, so how have we managed to do this? Right, so that's all wrong. So we've managed to... No, stop it. We've managed to get holmium plates into this. Fortunately, it didn't go anywhere off of that, but that's still no good. So that is not gonna work super well as a path. I just want to get this stuff like down in this area where we just have space to work. I don't know how possible that's gonna be based off of how we've done this. Let's see. So this can just go directly across that entire thing and then directly across there. And that does work the way I want it to. Okay, and that needs to get connected back in. So we have our holmium ore. Next, we need stone, which is going to be much harder because it's going to have to completely turn around. But I think I see a path here. So if you go around like this, and then under there, and then under there. Alright, that is stone cleared out. And then next, we have our ice cubes. And this, we can probably find some space up here. Maybe. Let's see, if you loop around like that, and then come all the way down here. Okay, now I'm out of construction materials. That's not good. Do we have more? We do have a couple more, but we're gonna need a lot more where that came from pretty soon. So the ice cubes then sneak down this way. And so that is basically cleared out. We just need to get through this power related area, which should be relatively easy. And we can even compress them down. The ice cubes and the stone we don't need as much of. So we can compress those down onto a single belt. That'll be fine. And then these can just go through this area. And right, there's that whole recycling area down there, which we're going to have to deal with. Alright, so then this comes down. Let's get that tiny chunk off of the wrong belt. And okay, now that's a problem. So we have this whole recycling system here. We're gonna have to move this lightning collector over slightly. You can go there, you come out, and we're all clear. Okay, so now we just need these guys to get past this, and then we're mostly home free. So do you have enough distance? No, definitely not. Okay, now you should be better off because you can just go... Well, no, because that belt is there that's in the way. Okay, what if we just compress that down? So you're like that. That doesn't change anything. Now you can come down to here, only that's not going to work either because it's going to get inserted here. Although what we can do, this is a sneaky thing which I've done like once in the past, is we put that there. Then this can come down here without any issues. And then those just get past and we're clear. Alright. So that is great. So we finally have our two belts. And let's just get them lined up together like so. So step one is chemical planting the ice into water. So let's get a couple of those in. And this just goes across. So you get to be ice melting. And there we go. These all go in. Apparently that is no good, so we'll put a power pole there. So that should be more than enough water without any difficulties. So then the next step is chemical planting the water. Let's push this down here a little bit because it's the next step. So then we make our holmium solution. Okay, this power line isn't connected to anything. That's what is happening there. So you get taken out and then placed in like that and then in like that. Alright, so we get our holmium solution. And then we... Actually, the way I combined these belts up was dumb. I should have the water on one belt and then the stone and holmium ore on the other. That would make a lot more sense. So let's just go back here and fix that. So we need to get the ice off of this chunk of this belt that we're working with here, which we can't do, so we'll just have to dismantle that. Okay, so now this is a stone belt, and it goes into there. And this is just an ice belt, and it goes into there. Okay, and then we're just going to want to get the stone off of this belt real quick. Use filters. Stone. Alright, so that should clear the stone off of this belt. And then we should be left with this belt with ice on it. This belt with holmium, ore, and stone. Alright, so you guys get productivity moduled, because you're probably going to need it. And then you get the belt going in, and we're going to shift this over to the side a little bit, just for spacing reasons. Alright, so that is all in. And then we just get all of those through like that. And the water goes across like that. Wait, no, the water has to go back one so that we can get the underground pipes. So the water pipe goes like that, and then in to there. Alright, then that connects up to there. Water, check. Power poles go in. Check. And now, so that was all cleared out. We have a whole bunch of stone in our inventory. And a whole bunch of holmium ore as well. So let's get that just tossed into this Spidertron inventory or whatever. Alright, so then this comes down through there and in. Alright, so now we have our holmium solution. And let's see, so we can get a pipe output on this side. Let's move it so that these are powered on the other side, because it'll work out better. So then we get a pipe output there, and a couple of beacons back here with speeds that this can go quickly. And then the speed beacons get powered. So now this should be capable of producing as much holmium solution as we want. And then holmium plates are just in a foundry apparently. Might as well go foundries for the productivity bonus. Alright, so then this goes down there somewhere. Let's get another one of these guys in the area. Just place it nice and far away so that we can get as much area coverage as possible. And then the power lines connect up, and we're all good. So you are set to make holmium plates. And you get productivity modules. And sure enough, you go real fast. So that is 14.4 holmium plates per second, assuming we have 150 holmium solution, which we certainly do not have. But maybe we'll be able to expand it out to something approaching that. who knows what our inputs can do. Now I'm going to run this pipe around this way so that if we do want to expand the holmium solution production chain, then we can just do that off that way and be fine. So now this produces holmium plates. Huzzah. Okay. Now, Fulgora support, you need a very important request. You need to request rare modules with a minimum payload of 1, and also epic modules with a minimum payload of 1. But yeah, we do want 50 of them. So basically, we just need to send these over to Fulgora. And the reason I want to do this cycling here on Fulgora is because otherwise we're going to have problems with like sending huge amounts of holmium plates over. Cyan, hello. We are working on making more holmium plates so that we can quality upcycle them and then eventually craft some stuff with them. So, if this works, we'll be able to actually craft quality modules in decent quantities, which would be quite cool. So this gets a bulk inserter. Actually, do I still have stack inserters in my inventory right now? Or did we run out? I feel like we probably ran out. Or I'm just blind. That's also definitely possible. Yeah, okay, I'm just blind. So let's make that a stack inserter so that this is efficient. Okay, so we have all of that. And now we just need the recyclers with the quality modules, which I did not bring any quality modules to Fulgora just yet. So we're going to have to wait on those to get delivered. But for now, we can build the thing that they're going to be going into, which is just going to be a chain of recyclers. Like so. And they are going to just output... How did I do this for plastic? Because it should be the same process, right? Okay, the answer is, first of all, it's pretty simple. It just sort of loops back into itself, but it might demand an enormous number of recyclers, which I'm not looking forward to. Also, this last plastic producer didn't get powered up, so let's just fix that real quick. And yeah, so the reason this is set the way it is because if we let this belt through and connect this belt up as well, then we get way too much throughput and the whole thing just sort of collapses. It gets overfilled and stuck. So I don't know how much of this we're going to need on Fulgora. Hopefully not all that much. So we got some of those delivered. The ultras are not happening, but that's fine, I guess. At least we can technically get it started with 13 or whatever the rare quality modules that ended up getting delivered. So how's the plastic? Up to 377. Now what is the plastic demand estimate here? Now this isn't going to be quite right because of quality modules, but processing units take 4 each. Made some quality modules with quality. Yeah, we've got ultra quality modules, and we're using those. We're technically using mostly rares because the ultras are hard to get. We're using those to make more, and we're also using them to make the raw resources that go into quality modules, because I think that might be a better way of doing it, and at least it'll be more flexible in terms of then converting it to producing things other than quality modules. So, Fulgora support, you're up here. Okay, how many of these do we want to just sit here and wait to receive? And also, do we want more belts, right? And potentially some of this other stuff. Okay, now let's unassign that group and just add the couple things that we want here. So we want a couple hundred belts as well, because we're starting to run low on those. What else were we running low on? Pipes, and underground pipes in particular. And underground belts and stuff we're running low. Alright, underground pipes. Grab another 50 of those. Then underground belts are here, splitters are here, power poles are here, so this should be fine otherwise. Okay, now we should set the minimum payload of that to 5 probably, just so that we don't get absolutely spammed like that. Apparently we have 12 on the way. I'm not sure how we have so many, but not going to complain. If we get 12 more of those, then that would be great. So this is getting all the rest of the stuff, which fortunately is pretty quick to launch. There we go. There's the ground pipes. And once these quality modules show up, which seem to just keep sending them, so that's pretty cool, I guess. So that's pretty neat. And then we have this stuff. We're still one Ultra module short there, or Epic, or whatever they're called. I can never quite remember. And then this is having problems. This is fluid ingredient short. So we need more petroleum gas. The reason we're short of petroleum gas is because not enough production. So if we just take this whole giant thing and just sort of, let's see, how much of this can we actually add? Let's just add this much to it, just because there's no kill like overkill. Although it looks like we might be breaking something doing that. There is some irregularity in there. Okay, let's just figure that out. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely some serious irregularity there at the end. How do we get this? So this is like relatively well aligned, except for this one thing. That one central thing here. Which, oh right, I just shifted that slightly. That should be fine as is. I just shifted it slightly to account for this petroleum gas pipe connecting back up to here. So that should be all set up and ready to build. Fulgora support, meanwhile, it still somehow has 13 more on the way, which is good because we're going to need a lot of those eventually. But they're coming in sort of weird quantities. Okay, how is there still 13 on the way? Because we just received that many. That seems a bit weird, but whatever. Alright, so there we go. There's another batch of 5-ish. Apparently there's 8 more on the way, and apparently we might actually just straight up fill up our demand of 50 of these. Close enough. 49 out of 50, that's good enough. Now we are leaving. So, we are going to add a passenger present, weight condition, and another passenger present weight condition for the other branch, just so that this stays at Fulgora for me to actually grab the stuff off of it. Okay, so back down on Novice. This is doing its thing. And hopefully we'll have enough rare quality modules to expand this the rest of the way up pretty soon. It seemed like the production was relatively quick. So back over on Fulgora, we're gonna be able to get... Oh, right. Here physically. I keep forgetting, and I try to, like, Spidertron remote this thing around, and it definitely does not work. Alright, so this takes in from here. And then it outputs to there. And it's going to loop back up. And let's see, if we want another one of these, we can put it like over here, so that should be fine. And I highly doubt we'll want more than one more of these because they are relatively quick. So let's move that back a little bit. Then you get input priority left for you so that we can cycle the same things around again and again. Then we get them powered up. And finally, we need our output, which is just going to go into a box, which can store as much as it likes. It's not ever going to fill up, probably. And then we get drone port coverage down here. So now if we need to expand this, we just move it over that way. And this would use like 16 quality modules, and we have like 50 on the way. So I guess let's just run up here, grab more recyclers, and start placing them in. So we just copy paste you and pop those guys in, and now we're short of belts. Okay, well this is here. It got here real fast. So let's send those down, grab the belts, and really just most of this stuff. I think the modules are fine. The modules are fine. Grab the construction drones, those will be handy. Okay, so back over to Fulgora. And there we go. There go those drones to construct all that. So then we need to run back up this way and grab some of the drones, throw them into this. So you get an extra stack of those, and an extra stack of these. Where are they? There we go. That should get the drone system a little bit better. Let's top off on belts. Okay, power poles are actually fine apparently. Use another stack of underground belts, but we don't need it. Just chuck the holmium ore back into there for this time being. And yeah, just free up some spaces. So we can grab the bulk inserters and the underground pipes And alright, we should be in the clear now, as far as inventory management is concerned. So we just hop down here, and the modules all go in, just all the way along to there. Alright, now we just should have nothing to do but just attach that in and see what happens. Alright. Oh, I'm dumb, I forgot. This needs to be filtered. Epic. To the right. And then all of these guys can just get yeeted into some of these. Doesn't really matter which, just sort of want to throw them into ones that aren't otherwise being used to not mess with stuff. And that is that. And we are up to a couple Holmium plates. Alright, that is honestly pretty good. Up to 3 already, and we don't need that many. Because again, it's like one plate per superconductor, one superconductor per module. And that is it, which means it's like 1 plate per module, but it's better than that because the superconductor component of the recipe can be productivity moduled. So like this right here is enough epic plates for 3 epic quality modules, which is not bad at all. We'll see if this keeps up at that sort of continuous rate. We'll also see this is perpetually fluid ingredient short. These guys are not. These guys have everything they could ever want, which means I guess we just expand them out. So this hopefully won't hurt any. We just pop you in, and then at some point we'll run out of holmium ore and stone and potentially ice cubes, although that's less likely. So those are all in. And now we should have enough fluid ingredients for this whole thing. So it's like, yeah, that should be plenty. I'm surprised it's still occasionally flickering shortages, although... yeah, for some reason it's still flickering fluid ingredient shortages. Oh, because I placed in like an extra billion beacons, which means this goes even faster now? Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, and the actual holmium ore supply seems very, very minimal. Like these belts aren't going quickly. So this could actually work out pretty well. We're up to 5 plates already. Okay, let's just keep pasting this across just a couple more times. Like that. And now we are short on some things. Need chemical plants, pipes, and beacons. Okay, apparently that first wave of chemical plants was literally just all we could manage. Does Fulgora support happen to have any chemical plants on it? No. How do you craft chemical plants? Can we do that here? Yes, we can, and we can actually just manual craft those. Let's do the manual crafting. And I could have sworn I'd sent pipes down. Did I just not pick them up, or what? There's no way we used like hundreds of pipes just now. Alright. Anyways, we got a couple more of those guys in. And we don't have the beacons to do much with them, but it's something at least. There we go. So those are all in. And that will be fine for now. Let's make sure that that last beacon is powered up. And this is sort of just going burr. We have 9 holmium plates. Alright, so, Fulgora support. You are going to add a request for epic quality holmium plates. Minimum payload of, I don't know, like 20. We don't want this to run constantly, but we do want to get the holmium plates as they become available. And okay, it looks like EM science packs have not been producing properly, maybe. Are they just slow, or are they broken? We're not getting any of these thingamabobs, because you aren't getting any green circuits, because this whole thing has jammed, right? So we need you to just take some of that stuff and then feed into yourself to help keeping that whole thing unjammed. So now that just like instantly works somehow. Suddenly like 20 billion green circuits showed up out of nowhere. So that's a good sign. Alright, so now this is all going. And we have science production once more. Filling up a space thing with it. So that is going. Back over on Novice, let's... we're going to need so much of this in order to get anything done. Let's get another one in. Let's flip these vertically, maybe, just so that we're not using like a completely insane amount of space. So you all go in, and the Spidertron got most of them, but not all of them, which means we're going to have to wind up waiting. So then this needs to rotate around and go up into there. Alright, so that is all good. The petroleum gas supply is kind of sketch at the moment. We have a solid supply of crude oil still, so we can continue to expand this. So let's get that and just click you across. Pretty sure I designed this in a way that it won't break anything significantly. It's kind of weird, like how exactly it works though, in terms of the spacing. I guess if we just do it like this, will that work? It should, right? All the pipes should be connected up still. So that can just go in like that and get even more things set up. Okay, we did wind up not having enough plastic or enough modules to fill these up. And then Fulgora still needs the pipes and beacons, but that's fine. So now that these guys are in, we should hopefully be able to just pop that in and send the additional plastic through. So, does this work as is? So all of these are going to start up, and it's going to be a bit hard to tell at first because we have a massive overfill of plastic from here, and also all of these guys were inactive, so they can just take the first plastic that comes through. So we're going to need to wait for those two factors to stabilize out before we can tell what's going on with this. And I mean, it is entirely possible that we need to upgrade parts of this belt to green belts because of how this all works. But we are up to like 500 plastic bars, which is nice. Certainly don't mind having 500 of these guys. So these ones down here at the end are the ones that are going to fill up last. And our additional oil production is going in. And we'll have to see just how much our oil extraction can actually manage. This sure is a whole lot of petroleum gas production, though. The coal supply is obviously great. No problems there. And this is starting to be stable. And it looks relatively promising for these ones down at the edge not being used. Now these ones aren't getting output full, are they? No, they have plenty of space. What about these ones? These ones are getting output full because of where they're trying to output to. So I wonder if we do need to just use stack inserters out of these instead of like their native outputs. We're going to start, of course, by just sort of upgrade planner, all of this stuff. We don't want to upgrade planner this bit because that could cause problems, or this bit, but we do want all of the rest of this stuff to get upgraded. And most of these have been assigned to something super far away. That's fine. Apparently the Spidertron isn't in the logistics network out here. Let's get a power pole, a Roboport in so that Spidertron can receive drone restocks over time. That'll be handy. Apparently a train just came to give our coal away. So that's going. And this is all built up and running. And we have absolutely zero petroleum gas to spare. We are just sort of using it all as it shows up. And the crude oil might be falling behind, actually. Okay, yeah, the crude oil is definitely falling behind if that's what we're receiving. That's no good. Alright, so the plastic might need more work. The holmium, how is this going? We've got 20 of those up, and only another 2 on planet. That either we've timed this perfectly or something else has gone wrong. Let's run down to here. Okay, so you are fluid ingredient shortage. You are holmium ore shortage. Yeah, so that is basically what I expected. We're just using all of the scrap to make all this stuff, and relatively small proportions of it is holmium ore, which is obviously fine. So this holmium ore destruction system is never going to run, basically. Now, is there any way we can make any of this more efficient? So the holmium ore comes straight from these recyclers, which can't be productivity moduled. Is there like a scrap recycling productivity? There is. Alright, let's enqueue that like twice. And then, apparently, I've just realized science production is bricked. So why has that happened? What science are we short of? Let's see. Let's click on the one which should theoretically have the most. It is electromagnetic science. Oh, because Fulgora support is sitting over Fulgora. Right. So that's fine then. You can leave. Bring your couple hundred EM science. And then we need to figure out, is anything wrong with this, or is it just slow? I think it's just slow. And it might be able to be oh wait, no, we don't have beacons. Right. I forgot that Fulgora was short on beacons. Let's add those to the list of things we want. So you get how many of these? Just one rocket's worth of beacons should be plenty. What else do we need? Oh, we need more pipes. We apparently need way more pipes. Where's our pipe request? We had a pipe request because we delivered some, but I don't see it. So we're going to re-add it. No, there definitely is one. Here it is. Alright. Let's have you request like a bunch of pipes. That's like 3 rockets worth, which should still be relatively easy to launch, but should get us covered. Okay, and then we also need to set the request for the Ultra Holmiums. So let's go to here and add on Holmium plates, Ultra, like 100 maybe. It's epic. I keep calling it Ultra. It's not Ultra, it's epic. 2 different things. Alright, so those are on the way. So the Holmium plates are on the way. The plastic is being produced. And seems like it's keeping up approximately. Yeah, I know. I don't know where I got Ultra from. Like, it just, in my head, it feels like it ought to be Ultra for no apparent reason. Like, it just sort of came from nowhere, but that's what I'm calling it, I guess. Alright, so we have our plastic. We have our copper wire. We have our iron plates. So now let's try to make something. After epic is legendary. Yes. But it just, I don't know why. The word ultra just feels like it should be a name for a quality level. Literally just on vibes. Okay, so now this, like, most of these guys are now just still saying target full. So we need to fix that, obviously. So step 1 to fixing that would be to move this thing over a bit. So you go, like, up, there, over a bit, and then down. And then, so now all of these guys, okay, you just need to be normal. You just need to be normal, and we need that to do the placing so that it happens quickly. So that should distribute the plastic a little bit more evenly, but it's still, like, annoyingly not coming out in stacks like I want it to. I really wish it came out in stacks. Alright, so next step is to get all of those belts upgraded. And there's not like these guys have already been queued, so I can't convince the Spidertron to do that now. Alright, so these are, at least right now, mostly doing better. So that's definitely gotten it more balanced between the two sides, which is good. But I feel like having the... I feel like we do just need to have them be stacks, which is annoying because it's going to be a lot of work to do, and it's potentially going to break things even more with, like, these guys will run less frequently because they're going to need to get, like, the exact right type of plastic to fit, which would just mean we need more of these, which isn't the end of the world, but it is kind of annoying. Speaking of which, how is this going? We're up to 11 epics to spare, and none of these guys. Oh, right, because we probably are launching all of them. Or not. Alright, so this has sent its stuff back. Processing unit productivity 2 is researching, and hopefully it'll finish. It's going to be kind of close, whether we use up all of our science first or... assuming that's trailing off because we've used up our science packs. Who knows? Who actually knows why that's trailing off? But it seems like we are going to finish processing unit productivity. So that'll be cool. And then after that we can get recycling productivity, which will be hugely beneficial. So that is at 99%. And there we go. So scrap recycling productivity is just scrap recycling, not like recycling in general, but it's still good to have. Just more resources, more holmium and everything. Should be good. Speaking of which, Fulgora still working, right? It hasn't broken or anything. Has not broken. But boy howdy is this not the type of throughput that we want to see. So we got up to a decent chunk of those guys, and now we're just kind of... now we're just kind of in shambles at this point. So we need more holmium, which means we need more scrap recycling, which means we need more space, like, in here, and, like, faster belts. Yeah, okay, so I guess step 1, do I have tier 2 belts here? I do. So step 1 will be just, like, upgrade this general chunk. So that should get more scrap through. These guys shouldn't need to be upgraded necessarily, but it certainly won't hurt. So all that goes in, and now we can get more scrap through to these guys, which should increase a little bit. How much holmium are we getting? 0.2 per second per recycler. And how many recyclers do we have? Let's see. We have 22 recyclers. 0.02 per one is what? 0.4-ish per second, assuming all of these are running at full speed. That is pretty terrible. Considering that's like, yeah, not enough to run a single one of these guys. And that's also not considering all this stuff up here. Okay, so I guess you need to be productivity moduled. We cannot have you just utterly wasting holmium, or now that it's rare, we need to be making good use of it. We also need... Did Fulgora support ever... No, it's running back and forth now, which means I'm going to need to, like, set the requests down here to get my stuff. So let's request the beacons. Let's request some pipes. Where are the pipes? Are they under this section? What else does that guy have that we want? Beacons and pipes were the two main things, right? Yeah, beacons and pipes for now. Set that up to, I don't know, like 300-ish. Okay, so now this is sort of the jackpot of holmium plates, but it's intended to keep all of this stuff going, which we can't really do at this point. And also just the holmium solution itself is needed in a bunch of products. So if we dip into this holmium plate supply, we can make more stuff. But like ultimately it's not that much of a difference. Alright, so then our scrap supply seems to be fine, which is good. We also just need this guy to go faster now. So it's now going slower than it's receiving holmium ore, but it's not actually producing enough, which means it's going to need a beacon, which should be arriving on Fulgora support, so we can squeeze a beacon in somewhere in this vicinity, hopefully. This whole planet is a mess. This whole planet is not exactly my finest work of design. Alright, so Fulgora support is here, sending the beacons down. And did I just see some epic quality modules? Yes. Alright, that's great. Let's drop those down as well. Because, of course, that is another way of making this whole thing more efficient, ultimately, is to just have higher quality modules. So those drop down. Grab those. Okay, we can grab this holmium ore and throw it in. Got that I just have some lying around in various weird places. And you all go in there, which should be quite handy. Now let's figure out where we can get a beacon in. Oh, I never actually picked up the beacons. I just had them dropped. Beacons. What's with all these drones flying super slowly? Did something happen with the power? No, the power grid looks fine. The drones are just moving slowly because they don't feel like going quickly, I guess? Who knows what all that's about. Alright, let's grab those pipes. Alright, looks like the drones are back up to normal speed. Alright, drones are back up to normal speed. And now we should be able to... Okay, so if we move that power line, which apparently did nothing, we can fit a speed beacon in here. And now you are cooking again at a much faster speed, which should hopefully be enough. And this is just going along. I did eventually get these quality modules. Oh, I have to be physically within range. Like that should be a marginal improvement. Alright. We have a couple more of those. Alright, so Fulgora basically doing what it's doing at this point. Until the scrap recycling productivity gets through the roof so that we have enough holmium. And we're probably going to have like a bunch of other problems to fix with that too. But until that happens, we can't really do much there. Unless I want to completely redesign the entire thing, which I don't. So instead, let's just get some quality modules crafting, shall we? So, where do we build this? Let's just build this in here somewhere. I don't know, Spidertron's already here. Most of the quality products are in this area. So, we need some EM plants to get that productivity bonus. And you are going to be making electronic circuits. So then you get some drone-related inputs. And there we go. And this whole thing is going to be within drone range. So let's get a guy up there for that. And connect it in like that. So you need to be set to epic quality electronic circuits. So you take iron plates. You take iron plates of epic quality. And you take copper cables of epic quality. And you make epic quality electronic circuits. Once I get some productivity modules in there, and I guess I can just stand here with my Spidertron to hopefully speed this up a bit. Oh, Spidertron doesn't have modules requested, so that's what's happening. Alright, so then that's green circuit production check. Let's have you move somewhere where you're not in the way, I guess, but still close enough to count. So we have green circuit production, check. Then we're going to have another line. Let's space this out a little bit in case we need to, like, I don't know, put some other stuff in here. For red circuits, which needs plastic, copper cables, and green circuits. But, of course, this needs to be epic quality advanced circuits. So that goes along like that. And it takes those. And those go out. And we get more productivity modules assigned. Because we do want all the productivity in the world for this. So then we have those. So then we can make quality modules, but we also need blue circuits. So we also need to craft blue circuits and superconductors before we start working on the modules, probably. So we have another one. Again, just going to leave a bit of space here, just in case something weird happens. So blue circuits go in. Oh, this needs the plastic input, so let's get that. We have you. You are going to request epic quality plastic bars. Okay, so then you take... Why did you do that? You take the plastic bars across, the cables across, and the green circuits from down there. So you're set up. Then you will then output your red circuits up to here. And then both of these belts then run along to this one, provide red and green circuits. And then we also need some sulfuric acid, which, let's just be lazy here. We're going to have you, through the power of barreling, we can just import sulfuric acid barrels, and apparently this managed to not quite be within our drone coverage range. So let's get a port out there for that. So you then empty the sulfuric acid barrels, and you can then output the barrels. Spidertron is standing on top of where we were trying to go. You output the barrels to an active provider chest so that those just get sent away. And then the sulfuric acid itself just gets pumped across into that, like so. And you get those and those. And you also get productivity modules, of course. Gotta save all the resources we can. So this produces our blue circuits, and I guess it will output them down to there. So now the only thing missing before we can start putting modules together are the superconductors, which, let's see if I can even remember what these guys need. Copper, plastic, holmium, and light oil. Okay, well, we're going to add another unbarreler. And someone get rid of these trees. Thank you. You are going to request barrels of light oil, which I don't think we have. Yeah, we don't have those, but it's not exactly a massive challenge to set up. Then this all gets built. You are going to empty the light oil barrels to here and send this pipe across. So now we need copper plates. So we are going to get this in, and you are going to be requesting epic quality copper plates, which we also have production for. And then that goes across to there. Let's get random tree out of the way. Plastic is another thing that we need. Okay, let's actually have this belt like run up this way to join these guys. I don't know why I turned around backwards again. So all of our circuits are up there now. So then this plastic belt, it is going to run down this way, go underneath all that, and then across to there. So that's copper plates, check. Plastic, check. Last but not least, the holmium plates, which go, I guess, just in up here. And they get a belt. And they get a couple trees out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. And then a passive, requester chest. Requesting epic quality holmium plates. So that's going to send all 20 of those over to here. And then we just take this pipe up and connect that in. So that gives us our superconductors and outputs them up to there or something. And we're going to productivity module that as well. Alright, so that is basically just module production time. So we just need to get some of these guys in. And so that can go there. And you are going to make the tier 1 modules with green circuits, which is this belt, and red circuits, which is this belt. So you go underneath all the way over to there. And you go underneath up to here. And then you just go into here. And this stage, unfortunately, can't use productivity modules. But we'll just do that. So that is tier 1 modules. Then we leave some space again. Tier 2 modules are going to be red circuits and blue circuits, which is these 2 belts. So let's shift those down and in. So those 2 belts go along, and we get red circuits and blue circuits. So those go into here. And that's tier 2 modules, assuming we get these guys to go across as well. So that is our tier 2 modules, and then finally we get the tier 3 modules. Oh, I need to set all these guys to epic quality, otherwise they're not going to work. I started forgetting that back here with the superconductors. Kind of annoying that there's just like an extra click now forever. So you are epic quality instead, as are you. To epic quality. Oh, that's the wrong... That's not where I meant to put those. You are that. You don't need those. Perfectly fine not giving you those. Alright, so you get these 2 plus this output, which we need to actually make. There we go. Plus this output, which I just realized I haven't exactly left a lot of room for. If we just push you back to there, then that leaves you enough room to come down here and through this area here. Like that. Alright. So, this gets 4 inputs and has 1 output, which means the output is just going to be going into just directly into a box, probably. Alright, so that, and then those 2. So then we get our last couple inserters in. And finally we have a passive provider chest. There we go. So that is all in, and we're just waiting for it to all get built. And these 3 over here don't get to have any relevant modules because we don't want to mess with quality, and we don't want, and we can't use productivity modules because they're an end product technically. So this whole thing, I suspect that the actual output rate is never going to be the issue. I suspect even at 0.05 per second that the ultimate problem will just be how long it takes to get the inputs. But I guess we can always be proven wrong. Alright, so we need to get light oil into a drone port, which I guess we can just do that from down here. Let's see here. Assembly machine. You go there. You are going to fill a light oil barrel, which is going to go in like that. And then you get some barrels imported. Where's the empty barrels? There we go. So that should be all there is to that. We just need you to put some of those into a box somewhere. Alright. So, are any of these guys limited by something other than inputs? So you are going to be doing your thing. So you need 0.16 blue circuits per second. You need 0.3 blue circuits per second. So we need like 0.5-ish blue circuits per second, and this is only going to be like 0.1. So that's not exactly efficient. There's also... I forgot to get these belts putting into there. Alright, so one thing I want to do is I want to limit all belts so that they don't go past the machine they're inputting into. Like, okay, you need probably both of those, I would assume. So this one can't be helped because the belt has to move forwards, but like I don't want just random stockpiles of ingredients past the end of the belt. Alright, scrap productivity 3 is done. Can I just like keep doing this? I feel like we just keep doing that for at least a little bit longer. Get that productivity up. Okay, so this is now doing better, except we've once again managed to get things just barely out of drone range. So let's get a drone port all the way out there for coverage. And then this, the barrels are still showing up. Okay, so that should take the light oil barrels across. And all of our input requester chests are primed to go. So this is another one where we don't want the belt to go past this. We don't want this belt to go past here. That one doesn't want to go back past that. That one wants to do that. Alright, that should be fine. Oh, I forgot to get you connected up. Let's do that. Alright, I think this is everything. So now, let's use our fancy epic quality power poles and just get this whole area covered with, should only take a couple, and then one more over this way, I guess, just to get that last one. So that should be somewhat unnecessary to connect it up like that, but it should be fine. Just want to use the epic quality power poles now that we have them, right? That makes sense. It does make things a bit easier. Alright, so now we just pop that in and we're off. So we should have pretty quick production at first because we have stockpiles to go through. Even so, it's kinda not incredible. Alright, so here we go. This is 0.4 per second. How many do we need? 0.03, so that's not an issue. It's probably the circuits which are going to be the biggest issue. We're probably going to have to, like, limit some of this somehow. Although, this is 1 and 0.1. This is 2. This is 0.16. So theoretically, some red and green circuits should get through. Yes, so this guy is getting green circuits. And there's going to be a tragic amount of inefficiency as some of these guys have to pile up a bit. But that is what it is. So this, has this produced any blue circuits yet? I think the total amount of blue circuits produced so far off of this is 0. And it looks like that might be one of the major limiting factors for this whole thing, because those have to go through here and here. Alright. So those are our first blue circuits into this. It needs so many of them. The green circuits are starting to backlog, actually, which is interesting. Red circuits, not so much. And red circuits haven't even made it to there yet. Okay, I wonder if we need to do some special logic systems to make this work better. Theoretically, it shouldn't matter. It'll just, like, take a very long time for all of this stuff to warm up. And this is where having these extra long belts is actually kind of a problem, because it just means the amount of belt that we need to fill is higher. Alright. We still don't have any input difficulties, so these are obviously not doing great, but we also don't really need them to, because this belt is gonna power so many modules. It's gonna be a lot. Okay, so yeah, the sort of easy stuff is going fine. It's the red and blue circuits and the modules which are going to cause problems. So we need this to, like, completely saturate with red circuits before basically anything happens. Okay, let's add another... This is what we left this space for at the end of the day, so we can get you in, and then you go a little bit forwards, and you get the plastic, you get the copper wire, you get green circuits, and you get the red circuit output. So that ought to be an improvement, although we've managed to find a gap in our power connection, which means we're going to have to be a little bit wasteful with the epic electric poles. So let's get that popped in, and hopefully that should... And it's still only going to be 0.32 red circuits per second. We might need to like actually scale this to some meaningful extent in order for it to work. Which I'm kind of hoping to not have to do, because we're just inevitably going to run out of resources and then have our giant production line running at like 1% efficiency. But it is just so incredibly slow in the short term. Okay, let's connect those two up. You can be read contents included in crafting. And how many of these do we need? It's 4 quality module ones, so you are going to be enable disable if quality module ones are greater than... No, it should be less than or equal to 0, I think. Oh, wait, no, because this is included in crafting. So if we set that to not included in crafting, Why are you not... Oh, because this has to be set to epic quality. Alright, so you are read contents not included in crafting. So this doesn't need to produce if this isn't going. Although technically this would need to be faster to keep up, but this is not going to run at 0.26 per second, so that's just sort of not relevant. So now we just need this machine's internal buffer to fill, and then this guy can get all of the red circuits it needs, and then we'll be good to go. And then we're going to want to do the same thing again to here. So you are going to be read ingredients, not included in crafting. And you're going to be enable disable on quality module 2 epics less than or equal to 0, I think. Oh wait, no. This should be probably 4 for both of these, because otherwise it would just get stuck. Alright, so that should be all good. Somehow the blue circuits are backlogging, which, who knows why that's happening. But it's probably fine. So the reason the blue circuits are backlogging is because this is 0.11. This hardly ever runs because it's short on other things. So that should be all good. I'm just looking for any red circuits to get past this whole thing. So this one has 4 epic quality module 2s. So this is going to make a 5th, and then it should turn off for a little while. And that should let the resources get across. Alright, let's check back to Flagora. How's all this going? Have you just been bricked entirely, or are you still running? Okay, you have just been bricked entirely by too many blue circuits. What a problem to have. Okay. I wish there was some way of just, like, always dumping more blue circuits down to Novice. But probably not. So, did we have... We have this blue circuit system here, but it's just not fast enough. Alright, so all we need to do is... Do we have speed modules? Yes, we do. Become speed. And that whole row can become speed. And hopefully that will get the blue circuits out of the system fast enough to keep up. Yeah, it looks better. It looks better, at least. Although, still by no means perfect. So that is going. It's not a logistics bot shortage. It is still just this not having enough requests. So, which one of these is the limiting factor? Are they all just sort of running? It seems like they're all just kind of running. But let's just add another one onto here. Give you some speed modules. And then send that stuff out to that way, I guess. And this one has no... This one has plenty of ingredients. That's fine. Alright. So hopefully that will help us out a little bit more. And we can keep this process going. Alright, it looks like it's working. It looks like this is starting to decline maybe a little bit. Maybe only like... It's hard to tell whether it's just barely good enough or just barely not good enough. And either way, we're going to have to tear this whole thing out and improve it so that we don't have to go through all of this at some point soon anyways. So I guess I'm not too worried about it. I am quite happy to see 9 more holmium plates. And I'm also happy to see our first epic quality module. Huzzah! So this is officially open for business, kind of. And I think red circuits are still like the main limiting factor. Although it might be blue circuits. So this isn't running because this has got plenty of stuff. This isn't running. So yeah, it looks like red circuits are just the primary limiting factor. So let's just get more red circuit production in. And if we put you in here, the Spidertron move a little bit. Okay, you should be able to work. If we just take that out, pop you into there, and get a power pole in. So that gets set across and productivity moduled. Then, oh wait, no, this is not quite right. Because of the belts being weird, you need to actually be just slightly down there. Which shouldn't really affect anything. We just put the power pole back in, and you get the inserters, you get the recipe, you get the modules. And then, so the one thing we're going to have to do is move you up and around like that. And then like that. So once this gets all built in, that will be more red circuits for the overall thing. We'll be up to, what, 0.48 total, which is almost enough to run just this one machine. But it should be a bit of an improvement. And let's see here. The blue circuits, we could slow this down to like get an extra 0.1 red circuits passed. I don't know if that is going to be necessary. Alright, so we want the modules to show up before we connect the green circuits in, because otherwise this is going to be wasteful for like a cycle or two before it gets fixed. So hopefully those modules show up any second now. Alright, where are my modules? I guess they are coming from like the other side of the continent, like literally all the way up here. Just the most inconvenient possible location for them. Okay, I definitely should have made this in a more expandable way, because I also want to make like higher tier productivity modules and such. That would make a big difference in this whole thing. So yeah, our next process after the quality modules is going to be the higher tier productivity modules, so that we can do chains like this more efficiently too, which will also help. Ultimately, every little bit counts. Alright, you get your modules, which means now you can take green circuits and start making the red circuits. Alright, so that is another one of you guys set up. And we're up to 3 of these. Alright, epic quality modules starting to come along. Still not quite as fast as I would have liked, but it's doing its thing. Okay, let's work on redesigning this to be at least somewhat scalable, because we are going to need some amount of like this stuff in here for like everything basically forever. So this stuff past this point we don't really need to scale necessarily, because it's just making the one type of modules, and we can just sort of scuff it a little bit extra if we need to. But the red circuits, and to a lesser extent blue and green circuits, we are going to want to mess with. So let's get that set up. So these guys are all just fed by these 3 inputs, right? Alright, what's this guy being attacked for? Where are you even coming from, first of all? And, okay, so I guess this area is somewhat inadequately defended. So let's get extra walls along there and back up to there. And then there's just no biter nests in this entire vicinity that could possibly be doing that. We have an artillery gun out there. Alright, I have no idea where those biters came from. Whatever, we're just going to ignore them. It seemed like a relatively small attack anyways. So we take this, and we're just going to push this like up here somewhere. And so step 1 is the green circuits. And this is going to be sort of main bus adjacent. So you go into there, you go into there, and you get to be green circuit production. And then I have to remember how main buses work. I guess it's not that difficult, right? You just sort of split things off. And actually, hang on, wait. So you would do something like that. And then this goes up while this one just continues forwards. And then you do the same thing here, where you have why am I okay, making a main bus is not hard. I've done this plenty of times in the past. I just need to not be dumb. Okay, so right, we go like that, then you go up, then you come out, and then you just continue forwards. So that lets us make our green circuits. And then, okay, let's just, for the sake of organization, move you over that way. Get you productivity moduled because you're going to need them. So then you get your inserters, like so. Okay, next up, so this can then expand up this way until we hit those train tracks, which are kind of far-ish away, so that should be fine. Then we need our red circuits, which are plastic, copper cables, and green circuits. So, copper cables come along to there, and then... Oh wait, first we need to get the green circuits down onto the main bus. So just something like that. Calling this a bus when it's literally just like 3 inputs to 3 different recipes is kind of overselling it, but that's sort of the design we're using here, just so that each individual thing is relatively scalable, and the whole system is also relatively compact. Alright, so the iron plates actually don't need to go anywhere past the green circuits. So that, you can actually just do that. The iron plates only go to the green circuits. The cables, however, do continue along. So the green circuits can take the place of the iron plates on this. And then we get, I guess these just loop right back up. And the reason to do it that way is so that we don't get weird stuff with the scaling. So then you get an inserter for your green circuits. You can just copy paste that recipe up and pop the modules in. So you get your green circuits. Wait, no, this is wrong because we need to do this even slightly more differently, because we need an output belt for the red circuits, which is going to go down to there probably. I don't know. Wait, no. The output belt makes more sense to put on the other side. So this does loop back up like that. Then the wire goes up right next to it. And then this goes in like so. And so that is all connected up. And it gets its productivity modules again. I feel like I've pasted those productivity modules into here like 5 times already. So that is wire, check. Green circuits, check. Now we just need our plastic. So the plastic goes along up to here and then goes in. Alright, and then we know that this one in particular is going to need to be big. So let's get those all the way up like that. And okay, it's a little bit spooky in terms of the train placement, but this should still be fine. We finished more recycling productivity. It's always good. Let's see, more recycling productivity or mech armor? Let's do mech armor. That seems more fun. I don't know when I'm ever going to use it because Spidertrons, but, you know. Cool stuff is still cool. Alright, so then we get all of these guys pasted across so that they can take the inputs in. And I just realized I should have had our output in while I did that. That's fine. You just go like so. Now we have red circuits. And then blue circuits are green and red circuits. So this just comes down to there and goes across. This goes all the way down to here to gain some vertical space. And then we have those two belts going up. And then here we can start our blue circuits. We're just going to start this lower simply because the tracks are in the way and we want to get like approximately the same amount of machines in. So let's get a couple of those guys in. And you take a near inserter from each of those. And let's just have that on the lower end for consistency. Then a far inserter up there, which will be taking the red circuits, which is good because the green circuit demand is going to be a lot higher for these guys. Then you all get productivity moduled, and you get a pipe, which we need to rebuild that. Where's my Spidertron? Get you up here so that that can get put back in. Oh, no. It got put back in, and then I thought we needed to reset the priority, so I immediately dismantled it. Alright, so then that is our pipe. And then we have our blue circuit output, which goes like that, and the pipes go in like that. Alright, so then each of you is going to make just like the world's tiniest stash of that, and of each of those, just a couple stacks each. Don't want to do anything too crazy. And now this whole thing is gonna get set up. And we might have to like copy paste this, move it down this area where we have more space. But this should be like decent, right? It's not the worst thing in the world. Now let's get our power poles in. So that can go there. And then we get some along that way. And then one there, and that might cover the whole factory. Gosh, the quality power poles are so nice, just for having less physical objects everywhere. Okay, then we just need these inserters to go in. And we set these up. Yes, we did. So that should be all fine. And now we have, as expected, a shortage of plastic. We apparently have plenty of copper cables and plenty of iron plates. So the plastic shortage is going to be a whole thing. So if we just... Oh, yikes. You guys don't have any fluid, which means that, yeah, plastic is our major issue at this point. We need way more of that stuff. Which, is this like a traffic jam? Or... No, it's not a traffic jam. Our oil production is just inadequate. Alright, well, that's certainly annoying, but also very fixable through the power of just adding another oil thing. So, Spidertron. Are you the most convenient oil thing? Is there somewhere else with more? There's that one up there, but it's kind of annoying to reach by rail. That one is very annoying to reach by rail, I think. And this is like the direction that I want to be thinking about, like building my new factory in. So yeah, let's just rail down to here. So, step one, we're gonna have to clear the biters out of this whole area. So let's get our Spidertron moving, and this Spidertron is armed, right? Come on, click on you successfully so I can open your inventory to see. Nope. All right, I'm pretty sure it's armed. Pretty sure it's got rocket launchers or something. It shouldn't be fighting. It should just be building some stuff. But you know, it's good to be sure. Alright, so Spidertron is down here now. And this copper place is doing fine. Alright, so this area has a bypass for the station built into it, which is tremendously convenient because it means it's relatively simple for me to just yoink off of this and not worry about it too much. So we just need that to come down this way. And then we need a second parallel belt to run back up and connect into there. Then we need some signals for all this, which would be easier if it was actually getting built. Come on, Spidertron, take over the rail construction, please. Alright, let's dismantle that and rebuild it with the Spidertron right here so that it gets built faster. Oh, apparently, if we had waited another 5 seconds, it would have shown up. That's fine. Alright, so this is the output side, so you get a rail signal. This is the input side, so you get a chain signal. And then this whole area is relatively good. And this is just like a one-way track, so we don't need to do anything crazy with it. Just this very basic setup should be plenty. Alright, so now the Spidertron runs down to here. And we just need our rails to go all the way down this way. And okay, for some reason, oh, we need to have the Spidertron show up so that we can actually see where we clicked for all those. Alright, so that is that. Then we get this rail going that same way, just sort of along to there. And Spidertron... Alright, this rail segment can get built up a bit later. For now, what I need to do... Does Spidertron have artillery in him? No, he does not. So it is actually going to be meaningfully annoying to set up an artillery base to clear this area out. Alright, let's just run down and try to just yoink the oil field. Are there biters in this immediate vicinity? No, there aren't. Fantastic. Alright, so step 1, get the pump jacks in. And is that all of them? I think that's all of them. Step 2, get walls. And these walls can just anchor by the coast, like so. And obviously all this stuff is going to be complaining because it's not connected up to anything. So let's get a drone port in. And okay, let's get some laser turrets along the outside. This whole area is not currently connected to power, so, you know, if we get attacked now, we're doomed, but there's also, because we're not connected to power, there shouldn't be any draw to the biters to come out here in the first place. So that should be fine. Okay, we're going to be setting up an artillery post here, so that means we're going to be attacked pretty hard once they do end up showing up. So we can just queue up the double walls now and get some just substations in to cover all of this. Apparently, if we just do something like that, it ought to work. If we then connect this chunk down through the middle like that, and then get this drone port connected. Alright, so then what we need to do is clear out all these dang trees from the inside, which will take our poor Spidertron a lot of work to do. But it should be done pretty quickly. Alright, now just run up this way to get this side, which also includes some walls getting built up, apparently. Don't hate that at all. Okay, now just run down here to get this corner, if at all possible. Nope, we're out of walls. Alright, fine. So now we just get the oil all connected up. And oh, we don't need that. That's a lot of extra pipes that we didn't need to place. Alright, so then this just goes along to there. Alright, oil is all connected up to each other. Now let's get a whole bunch of these guys in. Which, that ought to be more than enough storage for anything. Now, as far as modules on these, I believe productivity modules will keep it at higher production for longer. And then speed beacons, just like one each. Speed beacons should keep it going faster once it does run out of like the max quality production. So this is basically all of the internals set up. So now the only thing left is the train station. So let's get that in probably just like by this side. Actually, this side's kind of complicated. Yeah, let's have it just along the bottom here. Give it a little bit of space. Run along that way. Then loop around back that way. And complete the loop. Alright, so then we get a train station in to there, which is going to be a crude oil destination. No, a crude oil source, obviously. So that is in. Then we get pumps into each of the cars. The last car is going to be like there somewhere. Then this. Ooh, need you to not be messy. Then this connects up to that. And then back up to the oil. Alright, so that's the train station. Everything here should be at least queued up, except for the artillery gun, which we're going to deliberately wait a little bit to queue up, because we want that to go in last so that all the rest of the defenses and everything can be built up before it starts shooting. Alright, so then let's get some signals here on just either side of that. Alright, so the signals are all good. Now we just need to connect this back, which is going to be a whole giant row of power lines and drone ports. So you go out to there, then you go up to there, and the Spidertron just carries along. Alright, then we go up to there and carry the power line along to attach. Spidertron just keeps on walking. Alright, so now that is in. We just keep going up to there, and get all these belts connected across. Spidertron then gets it all built up, and it's doing a decent amount of the railway building as well, although that's not really the main goal here. We gotta be almost there, right? Gotta be getting pretty close. So we just have to get within drone port range of an existing drone port for all of this to snap in. Alright. Now that is in, and yeah, we have a whole factory right over there. So if we just place you like that, and then bring our Spidertron over, that all gets built, and then the power cables connect up, and now all of this stuff should be connected across. Okay, it seems like... Okay, no, that is connected. It's just not powered yet because these power poles didn't get placed. But that should be happening any second now. I mean, it'll take a while to bring them all the way down there, but it should be happening eventually. Alright, we have not enough logistics network storage space available. Have we really run out of storage? No, we've got plenty of storage. Oh, is it because... Is it because somehow they don't realize they're connected up yet? Or... Oh, it's because this Roboport has like 20 bajillion construction bots in it. Okay, let's just get a second Roboport there. Just right next to the first. To just assist with charging, hopefully. So there we go. Speaking of charging, power continues to be great. It's actually getting a little bit close now. These electromagnetic plants sure are hungry, and the foundries aren't cheap either. But it is getting there. Okay, so we just need like a little bit more power connection for all of this to get going. And this is doing its thing. That one's got 7 logistics bots. This one has managed to find some spare space that isn't filled with construction bot storage. Alright, I see a power pole going down, which is hopefully this one. We should get like most of this entire chain built. So yeah, that one is going. And now this whole thing, basically like up to here, yeah, basically everything up to there should be all good. And then we just need to connect that last one up, and then we'll be great. This is going a bit more slowly than I expected, but it could be a lot worse still. And in the meantime, how is all this stuff doing? We are still getting some plastic output, so it's not so bad. And we have no spare high-tier modules. And imagine that they're all getting sucked up to Flagora support. Yeah, we've got 13 of them up there. That's fine. We might end up just sending them back down at some point. Now over here we've got 400 spare green circuits, 116 spare red circuits. Oh, we never set up this blue circuit production. You just need an unpackager connected up to that to empty sulfuric acid barrels, and then we just copy and paste. And then we're just gonna need power pole down there, and that should be everything. So if the plastic production improves, then we'll be good to go. But it looks like it's mostly going... I mean, it should be going to various locations. Like, we should be going up here and down to here. Alright, how is this going? Oh, we never connected the tracks in from there down to there. So the construction is all happening, but the tracks aren't connected. Alright, so we just need you to just pop in like that, and you to come down to here and then over like that. And we should be good. Apparently we're building a bit of landfill in there, which is inefficient, but it's fine. Not going to break anything to do it that way. Alright, so that last little corner is showing up. Let's... Do we get the Spidertron down there? Yeah, let's get the Spidertron down there just in case. Just in case the attacks are too crazy. We'll have this guy just ready to provide support. We don't want him actively being the one being attacked, though. His rockets will break stuff, probably. So we're just going to have him a little bit out of the way, but close enough that he can jump in to help if necessary. Okay, and apparently we need, like, one more drone port just a little bit over that way to cover this tiny corner over here. And, dang it, I forgot to... I always forget that pumps need power. And I definitely intended to connect that in, but I forgot. So now that's connected up. And this should be all clear. So once this is all connected up, are we going to have trains just showing up? Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to say whether we're going to need to add an additional train down here specifically for this or not. Right now I'm going with probably not. Although maybe, actually. Yeah, I think so. Let's get a train in. Oh, it's fluid freight, of course. So those go in. And if we're starting a train here, we're going to need a refueler, which is going to take forever to get set up, but there we go. That is all in. And in the meantime, we're building up a good solid buffer of crude oil, which should be quite helpful. Alright, so this whole thing is built up. Now we pop the artillery in and have fun with that. So our laser turrets here should be enough to defend us from anything crazy that happens with that. Are we seriously having drones just crossing like the Gulf of Mexico over here? Just all the way across the ocean rather than going a little bit around. Yep, that is apparently what's happening. Okay, and also the science seems to have broken again. What is wrong with our science this time? What is wrong with our science this time? It is still EM science. So Fulgora support is here over Fulgora. And it's... Okay, what's going on with this guy? Why are you like this? You're stopped at Fulgora. You're set to automatic mode. Not enough thrust. No thruster fuel. Because there's no coal. Because the sulfur supply is too big? Alright, so we just need to, like... Do we have construction materials here? We do, thank goodness. So we were trying to prevent the extra sulfur, but we apparently weren't doing a good enough job of it. So we need you to, like, wrangle around somewhere where there's enough space. So you can go down like that, into the other side. That's not quite what I wanted to have happen. Alright, so we need the sulfur to get, like, into here. Alright, I think this was like... Wait, it would be easier to just have this go underground a bit, and then you go down to there, and then into there. And now we're using both sides of that belt to clear the excess sulfur out, which should be fine, hopefully. Why are we even making sulfur here? There's like just like actually no reason to have the sulfur. All right, cool. We're not going to fix it. It's fine as is. Yeah, we could just set this down for more efficiency. Now this whole setup is not working super great because we have too much carbonic asteroids. What are you doing? We have too many carbonic asteroids, and we just can't get rid of them all, is basically the problem. Weird problem to have, but whatever. And we are actively venting asteroids, so that shouldn't become an issue even if we just leave it like this. So that, yeah, that should be fine. So now that that's fixed, it's all going to be okay. Then back on Fulgor, we have managed a pretty decent backlog of science in the meantime. And then back on Novice, our ammo. Vulcanist Support 3 just ran out of ammo. Why is it that Vulcanist Support 3, which is a literal block-for-block exact copy of Vulcanist Support 2, occasionally runs out of ammo? Something which is just simply not a problem with the original. Right, Vulcanist Support 2, literally the same thing. Vulcanist Support 3, literally the same thing. So, okay, is there some problem with... Oh, I see what happened. Okay. So this has too much junk on the belts, and it can't clear it fast enough with just a single inserter. So we're not getting, like, resources through, really. Alright, you need to pause thrust for a bit. Just sit here on Novice while we work out how to manage this. And why is this different? Why on earth is this different? Is there, like, some difference in the recycling system? No, that's not happening. Alright, I simply cannot explain why that is happening. Asteroid... the asteroid population should be decreasing over time. Can I just, like, get an extra excess filter in somewhere? So this is all working fine. I mean, it's all backlogged because it's full of coal. Oh, is that why? You're backlogged because you're full of coal. 1 and 2 are actively using the coal. So over on Vulcanus, how much coal do we have here? Thousands. Alright, I think that might be the source of the problem. So I think Vulcanist Support 3 might simply have too much coal. Which, let's see here, we might be able to fix this just in this area down here. No, because this is a whole giant thing. Okay, Novice, I assume that's just this down here. Yeah, okay. I set you to automatic mode. Why? Okay, you've just been damaged, not destroyed. Alright. This is what my Spidertron friend is in the area for. You show up here and clear those guys out. Okay, so apparently this area here is game for attacks. They will just sit here attacking trains and whatever. So let's just expand this wall out to cover that area. And then across to there. And a couple more laser turrets just covering that edge. And then across to there. A couple more laser turrets covering that edge. And apparently this is going to need to get boxed in, otherwise vulnerable to some crazy flanking maneuvers. Alright, so that should be secured, and technically we could put gates on this. It'll be fine. Let's just pop an extra laser turret each. And then because this is going to be the front line now, let's make you double walled. Alright, so that should let the train sit here and be secure. And we're going to need to repair that thing that got broken there. And the train is just going to have to get fixed before we can do anything with it. Alright, so then this artillery gun, it's got 8 more shells on the way. So it probably has shot once. Maybe just like one volley. Or maybe not. Maybe the biters just detected this place on their own. Alright, repairs are almost done. We're just like one pipe and the fluid wagon, short of that being all fixed up. Alright, everything is fixed now. We just need to get this fluid wagon in so we can send the train off to do its thing. Alright, fluid wagon. It's going to be super far away, and the Spidertron doesn't have fluid wagons on it, so we can't do anything with that. So let's check back to our plastic supply. Plastic supply still going decently well. And this Fulgora support keeps sucking up all of our new quality modules. Let's dismantle that and try to send these back. Alright. Somehow we didn't get any... Somehow we didn't get any science on that trip, which is a bit concerning, maybe. Although maybe it'll just be launched soon after this row of superconductors shows up. Yes, we are getting a science launch of a couple hundred on their way. So that should be fine. Back down to Novice. This is all basically doing its thing. And it's limited by the petroleum gas, so adding this second half in would basically do nothing. Although I guess it would make it faster for a brief period of time, which I guess is better than nothing. Alright, so that is in. Then let's find this thing. You can get... You've been rebuilt, so you can become an oil train and be set to automatic. Oh, and we're going to need more signals down here, probably. So you get a signal. You get a signal. And let's just get some signals around here, maybe. And then, like, another set up to there. That should be enough to avoid any serious issues. And now plastic is going to go burr. And let's get the Spidertron back out of the way, up over to there. Alright, so now we can go back to our plastic source, and here we go. We have crude oil in these tanks now, which means that this is running. And I guess doing it this way, we have like short bursts of incredible speed on our plastic. And otherwise, it's kind of slow. Alright, so that supply is running low. We should have more trains on the way by this point. Apparently not. There's a bunch of other places that we need to go and deliver crude oil, so that's fine. Okay, so this is making its plastic. It's not the world's fastest process. And let's see, Fulgora support is getting its science delivered quite nicely, actually. And we're almost at the point of another holmium plate delivery as well, which is very slow, but apparently fast enough to not be an issue. So there we go, that's running nicely. So yeah, what we want to do is we want to get these higher tier modules into this row here. So let's just actually configure those. So you guys all get to be the higher quality ones, so that we get a little bit more plastic per plastic. And how is our production of these guys going? Okay, the copper cables are actually starting to run dry, although we have tons of plates. Then over on the iron side of things, technically might have depleted a little bit, but it looks about the same, just distributed differently. Alright, so it looks like this mostly produces iron plates with like a side of copper cables. Although it could just be because we use more copper plates, we use more cables than we do plates directly. So we might need to convert some of these plates into cables. So, let's see, can we actually do that recipe here? No, we can't. Alright, what about just like in an EM plant though? I do want to get my efficiency. Yes, we can. So we can convert 4 quality plates to 12 quality cables, which we would want to do under certain circumstances, but not ordinarily. So let's, I guess, just, we need to get a belt off of this, annoyingly, and there's just not room for it in any particular direction. So I guess we move the drone port just a little bit, so it should still be fine, but now we have room to yoink off of this with, let's go with a stack inserter, into a belt, which will then feed an EM plant, and maybe a couple. For now it'll just be the one though. You make copper cables with max productivity modules, of course, and then you need to be set to epic copper cables. That's the important part. And then we just belt those back into here. And then we want some logic. Just very simple. So if this is less than like 1,000, enable disable on ultra copper cables less than let's go 2,000. Let's get a good solid chunk of them. Alright, so that should be all clear. And should be a good solid alternate supply of these ones, which we need. At 12 per second, that should be okay, but it's gonna be lower once the modules get put in. It's gonna be lower once the modules get put in. How many of those do we end up using? 3, negligible. So like 6 to 8. I almost said the thing. I managed to avoid it. So that's like 6 to 8 per second. This really needs its modules. Right now this is doing it inefficiently, which is not ideal. So that just goes through, makes sure we've got enough of them. And that's that. So now back up to here. Oil supply. Okay, oil supply is improving. Improving dramatically, actually. We're able to get that whole train supply into these. And even with plenty of crude oil... Okay, yeah, even with plenty of crude oil, we're still not getting enough petroleum gas, which means it's time to copy-paste this thing again. Okay, we need to like copy-paste this up to a point where it's nice and even. And get the patterns in so that they overlap properly. Which is very specific. I guess it would probably be easier to just not worry about that and just paste you out to there. Now we need more drone coverage, so you go out that way and connect into that so that this corner can get set up with drones. And then hopefully that will solve the petroleum gas problem. But we really just sort of need some better system. Ooh, mech armor finished. That's fun. Let's also get personal battery Mark III, because that's always going to be nice to have at some point when we get around to making it. Okay, this guy down here still hasn't visibly shot anything. It says it has 8 artillery shells on the way. Ah, here they are. They're crossing the ocean now. Oh wait, no, they're turning back. Right, so I think that might be the problem. We're sort of in a dead zone. Do we really need to get like drone ports to cross this stupid ocean so that they won't just, because the drones just refuse to go around? That's potentially very annoying if true. Alright, personal battery Mark III, that was a quick one. Roboport Mark II, might as well get that. And yeah, I think the drones are not having an incredible amount of success getting across the ocean. Which is weird because, like, the construction all went fine. The construction was all okay. Are the logistics drones, like, worse than construction drones somehow? Maybe? Alright. It looks like they are sort of slowly making their way around the ocean, but just like trying to go in and then curving off to the right. Alright, personal roboport also finished. Nice, nice. Let's see, what else is there? Let's do more scrap recycling. Just gotta get that holmium. Gotta get that holmium. We're up to 21 actually, which means our next Flagora support visit should do something cool. I forgot to deliver those quality modules down to Novice. That's annoying. Ah well, it is what it is. Okay, and now we're also short on productivity modules. So something going wrong up here. No biter eggs. And no supply of biter eggs. Did this break again? Yes, this broke again. Okay. And it apparently hasn't been fixed either. Alright. So, is the problem with Gleba, or is it with the Gleba support thing? So Gleba, I mean, a whole bunch of stuff is moving in circles, which is generally what you want things to be doing on Gleba. We've got seemingly boxes full of bioflux all over the place. So up on Gleba support, what's going on? Alright. Who knows? Well, the good news is that the laser turret spam here seems to be doing quite well. Let's see. Which of these has the most kills? This guy's got 37. This guy's got 47. Okay, these ones are on the wall, which means they kind of have an unfair advantage of, like, actually being attacked. Alright, that's entertaining. Anyways, that is just going to have to kind of stay like that for a while until we get around to fixing that problem. Although the lack of productivity modules is kind of an issue. Alright, so this is now doing its artillery thing. Which means we're going to get attacked a bit, but that whole area should get cleared out. There we go. More nests down. Alright, let's just get a radar in here just for vision coverage. So that can happen eventually. Did I just see? Yes, this laser turret isn't connected to power, so let's get that in. And that should be pretty solid. Alright, so our quality module production is just like, at this point it's just going as fast as the plastic can get produced. And it looks like our petroleum gas supply did end up being increased. Oh, because all those productivity modules being gone means that this is going super quick, because we still have the speed modules. Alright, so that is a whole thing. We're definitely going to need to fix Gleba very soon. And is it just because you're getting distracted with science launching that you're not launching the bioflux? That could very well be it, although we have these guys too. Also set to automatic requests. Why are these not doing anything? Okay. Bioflux available on planet 646, not enough to fill a rocket. That's what's happening. You have a minimum payload of like 1,000. Can you just have a minimum payload of like 200? Because I think just like the amount of bioflux available on the planet at all at any given time is not like, it's gonna basically stay the same, right? Because it collects and then it spoils and it collects and then it spoils. Alright, so yeah, we can add Gleba onto the list of planets which we need to return to upgrade, along with Novice, Vulcanus, and Fulgora. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do, to say the least. But so that should get it going. Gleba support is now receiving Bioflux at a couple hundred at a time. And then this is going to have to, like, get rebuilt into the whatchamacallits, the rocket turret things. And your target priority is biter spawners and spitter spawners, I guess. And ignore unlisted targets. So this is the guy which just takes in capture bot rockets and turns these guys back into spawners if they ever escape. So he's going to be pretty busy getting these guys collected back up in a moment. And our crude oil supply is apparently maybe enough to handle all of this without the productivity modules in the short term. And it looks like the belts are the limiting factor here, which means that this isn't getting jammed, really. A lot of these guys aren't running much, but they're not getting jammed, and that's the important part. So it's kind of annoying that, like, these first couple, which are the highest quality, are also the ones which aren't running as much. But it is what it is. We just need to get as much plastic out of here as possible, and then got a couple hundred of each in there. And this is mostly limited by the red circuits, so if we simply pop a requester chest onto there, and you are going to be searching for epic quality red circuits, that should sort of complete this whole chain and get us through, so that these guys can all run continually, or at least close to it, off of this red circuit production up here. And that should be that. Should get a big solid burst of these guys going through. And then it'll cool down again as we're just waiting for plastic. Okay, was this within power range? It was, so we don't need to do anything more. So those are in, and here we go. Red circuits going through. Alright, so now this takes red circuits, and then this takes red circuits. Now this whole process starts running. And that is going to give us another one of these. Technically another, like, what, 1.5-ish of them, which is pretty cool. Yeah, the productivity bonuses, you don't really notice them so much when you're just doing normal stuff, but boy can you feel it with quality. Like, the amount of resources we're conserving here is kind of crazy. Alright, we get another one of these guys in. Now this one is running full speed. And yeah, this is just sort of doing its thing now. And up here, you're stable at your 2K mark based on whether this is running or not. And you are still mostly full. So that is all looking good. Alright, so yeah, everything here pretty much looks like it's working the way it should be. Gleba support is back, which means we're probably going to be crafting some of these up. And then hopefully some of the Bioflux is also heading down to keep them once it's there. Yeah, so now that drone picks you up, brings you down here, and is going to recapture one of these nests. And then we'll have biter egg production, which should give us productivity modules back, and that will be that. Alright, so at this point, quality modules are going pretty well. So the next step is productivity modules with quality. So if we get everything here is basically the same except biter eggs. So if we can get quality biter eggs, which is gonna be terrible. Like, that's gonna be an absolute nightmare. But if we can get them, and again, much like the Holmium, we only need like one-ish per final productivity module. Then we can go real crazy with higher productivity boosts, like just scaling our production just into infinity, like all of these, but they're twice as productive. It's going to be very, very strong. So that will be the goal for next time. And once we have quality productivity modules going at like any reasonable rate, then we will be able to branch out into like quality machines and all that sort of stuff. Okay, what turret ran out of ammunition? I assume it's this one. Yes. So you have successfully captured all of these guys and unsuccessfully started on this guy. There we go. Biter egg supply reestablished temporarily. But yeah, next stream is going to be just getting a lot more biter eggs and converting them into quality biter eggs. And once we have quality biter eggs, then that should be that. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap up here. We're going to be doing our quality biter egg shenanigans next time around. Hopefully we won't need to expand and kidnap more biter spawners, but we'll see how the rate's looking. If it's anything like the Holmium, it should be fine. But yeah, we'll see that next time. So, thanks Eb for hanging out. I'll be doing Satisfactory tomorrow, where we are working on neural quantum processors. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by then. Otherwise, I'll be doing Factorio on Wednesday, as usual. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So if you're interested in seeing what I'm doing, then make sure to give me a follow and stop by then. So, thanks Ed for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.